Ladies and gentlemen, hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. This is the Mr. Warren Hayes Show taking place on July 25, 2019. Whoop, whoop, as the kids like to say. Welcome, young and old, infirm and healthy, women and men and children, dogs, cats. It's so good. Good to see you all here this evening. Yes, and I do mean see you all. I see you all here live in the chat because you know what? The Mr. Warren Hayes Show records live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as part of the very, very exciting Smark to Hayes, hashtag Smark to Hayes programming block of exquisite wrestling discussion. 8 p.m. my boy Anthony from Smark to Death over on youtube.com /Smark to Death kicks off the festivities. I land in just like that at 9 p.m. over on youtube.com /MrWarrenHayes to provide my own wrestling commentary for stuff that's been happening this week. WWE, New Japan, AEW, everything that has to do with wrestling has a potential to end up on my show, and we do them back to back so that you guys can get fresh, exciting perspectives from fresh, exciting people such as Anthony and myself. Two old white dudes. What do you want? But yes, so I am recording this live here on youtube.com /MrWarrenHayes. We got a bunch of people here tonight. A bunch of fantastic friends of the show, well-wishers who are here. Tim Traver is here. How you doing, Tim? Mr. Fretz is here as well. Robert Larry. John Bars is here. He's popped in tonight. Good to see you, John. We also have Blaine Mendoza, the world's most handsome mod. Anthony has jumped in. He's done with his stream, so now he's coming to hang out here as well. Anthony Suter from Smart to Death. Jamie Tannick is here. CM Phil. Kevin Crazy Vase. Rock Vape. Joe Anthony. Bloody hell. Carlos. We got Justin Chase. Got a packed house here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, you're right. The volume is a little high tonight, isn't it? I'm gonna bring it down a bit. A little bit. Shane McMahon just dropped in. How you doing? I'm so glad everyone is here. Thank you all so very much for joining me this evening, and thank you as well if you're joining me on your own time, whenever you feel like it. When I'm watching the replay on youtube.com /MrWarrenHayes, or perhaps you're listening to it on podcast format on your favorite podcasting app, because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on all podcast formats, all podcast applications, from Apple to Google and everything in between, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, it's all there. And so you just type in Mr. Warren Hayes, and that is fantastic. And you know what's even more exciting, just before I keep going on with my plugs really quickly, this Monday, just impromptu, like about a few minutes before Raw started, the Raw reunion, I decided to do a watch-along stream. I fired everything up. I put on my trusty Bob Ross hat. I can't put on the Gargano hat when I'm not doing official streams, like planned streams. I have to put on the Bob Ross hat. So I had my Bob Ross hat on, and I started it up. And people joined. We had a bunch of people who came in, who watched along with me. I enjoyed it. Probably will do it again at some point. I don't think it's going to be a regular thing, but once in a while, it was a lot of fun. So I hope, thank you everyone who joined that evening. Thank you again for being here tonight. And you know what? If you like this video, by the way, just give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. That always helps. Share the link out into the universe. Let people know that JS Brown is in the chat as well. How you doing? I'll let the people know as well that I'm doing this live as well. If you want to have, there's still people who it hasn't sunk in that I've never died. I'm not dead. And I still have my t-shirt up available over at whatforapparel.com/I'm not dead without the punctuation. If you want to support the show, you can go right ahead and also support my state of being alive. by purchasing one of those handsome shirts. The link is also in the description of your podcast, of the podcast episode, and on YouTube as well. And you can also, if you feel like it, send your boy Warren over a tip. You head to tinyurl.com/tipwarren. And that's another way to support the show. Another thing you can support is me on Fightful, over on Fightful Select every Wednesday nights when I do my 205 Live NXT UK recap show. FightfulSelect.com, premium service for Fightful. Go check that out. I do podcasts there. Yes, plural. So you can go check those out. It'd be my pleasure to be able to chat with you over there, because I do that live as well. And you can also support the premier website for women's wrestling coverage, belltobells.com. That's BELLTOBELLES.com, run by Kristen Ashley, editor-in-chief. She does a fantastic job, has fantastic people such as Joe Anthony, who's here in the chat, who writes fantastic stuff. CM Phil there as well. Look, guys, gals, Anthony Suter as well, contributor. Look, head on over there. You can also follow on Twitter, Bell to Bells. You need that in your life. You just don't realize it yet. But the minute, this is really the kind of thing that the minute that you find out about it, then you realize just how much you needed it beforehand. It's exactly like wearing slippers. A lot of people say slippers is an old fogey thing. I don't need to wear slippers. But let me tell you something. The day that it's like minus 27 degrees Celsius outside, minus 40 with the wind chill, and your tootsies, when you flip out of bed, your tootsies land on the cold floor of your room, you're like, ooh. The minute that happens and you slip into an extremely comfortable pair of slippers, that is the moment where you say to yourself, I never realized just how much I needed slippers before now. Same thing with Bell to Bells. Glad that everyone is here tonight. Glad that we're having already a good time in the chat. I mean, if you're listening to this on your own time, which is, like I said, I keep telling you guys, I don't insist that you come live. I appreciate you taking the time to add me to your life whenever you can. But I gotta tell you, joining the live chat is something special. Great people here. Fantastic people, great mods, very respectful, little goofy. I like it. It feels like home to pop in here. Thank you everyone for being here. So what are we going to start talking about? Well, of course we're going to start recapping the main roster shenanigans that happened this week on WWE television programming. So this week was the Raw reunion. All right? That's something that happened. Okay, the Raw reunion, let's just get this out of the way right now. Okay, guys, gals, are you ready for this? I'm just going to move some stuff around here. Let's just get this out of the way immediately. Base Rob, thank you very much for the tip, buddy. I appreciate it. Let's just get this out of the way immediately, instantaneously right here. This is the third time I set it up, but I'm going to set it up for a fourth time. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Nothing of value happened on Raw this week. The Raw reunion is literally the equivalent of a clip show from a 1980s sitcom or any time. 80s, 90s shows, especially sitcoms, when they pack into an episode just clips of previous episodes. You remember when we did this, and then they go and get us something from last season? It's usually something that the clip that the producers do to save on expenses for the show, right? Because you don't have to bring in your talent, you don't have to have you don't have to have the crew. It's a very cost-effective way of filling out your episode requirements, but having one which basically costs you next to nothing to get produced. Well, this is exactly it. Nothing happens in the clip shows. You just remember shit that happened in the past. This is exactly what happened. Only the difference with WWE, as opposed to the real reason you have a clip show, is that WWE didn't save money. They had to fly all these people in. They had to pay for all these people to be on television. It cost them so much more to put on a nothing show. It's ridiculous. And I mean, nothing happened. And ultimately it's harmless, but nothing happened. It's just, look, I'm going to run through it, but I mean, there's nothing really all that much to break down here. You know, it started off with John Cena and the Usos, and, you know, they started teasing. You know, the Usos wanted John Cena to rap. They wanted the Doctor of Thugonomics, right? And John Cena sort of turned it on a little bit, made a very unfortunate allusion to their arrest, or to Jimmy Uso's arrest back in February. And now, well, I'm sure you've all heard by now that Jimmy Uso's been arrested for DUI again. So that's a joke that didn't age well. It's very unfortunate. Now, Rikishi comes out, then the Revival come out, accompanied by Devon Dudley, but without Bubba Ray, or Bully Ray, whatever you want to call him. Bubba Ray had said on social media earlier this week that he had received an offer, he had rescinded to head to the show. I thought it was kind of cringy to see Devon come out with full Dudley Boys music, Titantron, Dudley Boys gear, without Bubba Ray. Kind of, I don't know, just made me cringe a bit. And then we had another match with the Usos and the Revival. And the Usos and the Revival, well, look, folks, I pointed it out on my stream, on the surprise stream on Monday. The Usos and the Revival have competed against each other in one form or another 9 times, 9 separate times within the last 2 months. 9 separate times within the past 2 months. You know how many weeks there is in a month? There's 4. You know how many? So, you know, there's 4 weeks. So in 2 months, there's 8 weeks. And we saw them 9 times. It's absurd. It's absurd. So basically, I want to say hello to Shane Haas, who says that I changed. I just changed my t-shirt. Looking fresh. Would you agree? I think I look good. Anyway, so I mean, the match was fine in and about itself. That's not the point. We've seen it before. We know how they work together, and these are two of the best tag teams in the world. But goddamn, you know. And then, okay. What I'll do is I'll run down. I don't want to run down through all the legends that were there necessarily. I'm just going to skim through a few. And I'm going to do it now, just to let you know, so that you know what I enjoyed the most, who surprised me. Just run through a few. We had Santino Marella. Santino Marella, by the way, who is I can never remember his real name. He's on a show here in Canada on Sportsnet 360, which is the sports network that carries WWE programming here on cable. He's on a show which airs before Raw and SmackDown. Just before SmackDown, I think, on Tuesdays, where it's basically a panel of people discussing WWE, and he's one of the regulars, and he always looks so bored to be there. He just looks bored out of his skull. So I see him there tonight, like, And Caitlyn was there as well. Caitlyn, by the way, who had a fantastic showing at the Mae Young Classic last year. I still don't know why WWE didn't decide to pick her up to give her another run, even if it was an NXT run. She looked really, really good. She had a great match. Tori Wilson was there as well. And this was all in the segment with Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke. And here's what I found surprising. This is the biggest surprise that occurred to me. And thank you, Mr. Fritz. It's Anthony Cirelli? Yes, and no, it's not Jimmy Corderas, Shane. Jimmy Corderas is a referee who is also on the Aftermath show on Sportsnet 360. But the biggest surprise for me here in this initial segment where we saw Caitlyn and Morella and Tori Wilson, we saw Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke, but then it was the realization that at the end, during the toast, when they brought everyone, all the legends out on top of the stage, Alicia Fox was there. Now, does this mean that she is no longer a member of the active roster? Has she moved on to legend status? Chat, do you think that Alicia Fox is a WWE wrestling legend? Let's talk about it. So basically, we had those. We had Eric Bischoff show up, which was really cool, and he also mentioned, offhandedly, a little subtlety that he was going to be overlooking Raw. He's supposed SmackDown, excuse me. He's supposed to start next Tuesday officially with the company. Rob Van Dam, that was my big surprise of the evening. I popped for that. Rob Van Dam, signed by Impact, apparently asked Impact if he could, Impact agreed for him to show up, to go on the show because he has a contract that runs through Bound for Glory. But I was shocked. That, for me, that was the biggest pop that got out of me for the evening, aside from Stone Cold later on. But that was cool. I was glad to see him there. Also, like the fact that they had Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits sort of had him offhandedly, or they sort of subtly have him say that he had been smoking weed with Rob Van Dam backstage with him, which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was hilarious. And then there was the usual rigmarole of legends. There were a lot of divas who were there, but I mean, it was what it was, right? Keep moving on the show. There were a lot of shenanigans with the 24/7 title that evening, where Drake Maverick started off the evening winning the title off of RTruth, and his wife Renee actually contributed. She set him up. It was an ambush. She comes over to sort of argue with Truth, and then that allows Drake to run in from behind and take the title. And that's something. Whoa! She's actually helping him. I thought that was pretty funny. And then the title changed quite a few times during the evening. Pat Patterson has become the oldest WWE competitor to ever hold a title at the age of 78 years old. He pinned Drake Maverick after Drake got spooked by the Boogeyman. Gerald Briscoe then took it from Pat Patterson. Kelly, Sean Ross Sapp's favorite wrestler, Kelly, it becomes the first women's wrestler to win the 24/7 title. I will echo the sentiments that Sean had on his Raw recap on Monday night. It's a shame that it wasn't Carmella, because Carmella is so instrumental to this 24/7 title storyline. It's a shame that it wasn't her, but hey. Then Candice Michelle won the title. Medusa, Alundra Blaze, choked out Candice Michelle to win the title, then faked tossing it into the trash a la women's title on Nitro. Then Ted DiBiase comes out and buys it off of her And then he heads to his limousine where Drake Maverick is waiting for him in ambush again. So he wins it back, but RTruth rolls him up as he exits the limousine. And then RTruth dashes into the limousine, but Renee, Drake Maverick's wife, is in the limousine, and he makes off with her. So and Carmella's left behind. So basically, Drake Maverick's wife has been kidnapped. RTruth is a felon. This was fine. It was fine. A lot of nonsense, but it was fine. Kristen Ashley joined us in the chat. What an honor tonight. So this was very, very, very. This was some entertaining stuff. We had another match where Drew McIntyre destroyed Cedric Alexander. You feel that this is moving on to a SummerSlam match, which I'm okay with for two reasons. I'm okay. Maybe three reasons. I'm okay because Drew is not fighting Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That's one very good reason. Second reason, it's giving Cedric Alexander something to do, something that he can play off of, and that's very, very good. Third really good reason. Third reason that I have tonight is the third reason. The third reason for that this is a great idea is because Cedric Alexander will be able to make Drew McIntyre look absolutely fantastic, like an absolute beast in the ring. He's going to look absolutely destructive. He's going to sell his offense like it's nobody's business. So this is really, really a great pairing. I'm looking forward to it, and it's new, right? This is something that we want. We want new stuff. We want new people doing new things. I'm going to try and bring the bit rate down for the stream a little bit because apparently I am a little choppy. So we're going to try and fix that. Despite the fact that it's everything points to everything being green, but I'll just bring the bit rate down a little bit. I'll just bring it down a little bit. There we go. The War Raiders smooshed Hawkins and Ryder. Roman beat up Samoa Joe because Samoa Joe talks shit about his family, and that's essentially Samoa Joe's MO, right? Going in, talking smack about some dude's family, trying to get a rise, and that's what happened. I thought the promo by both guys was really good. Samoa Joe as usual. Roman, it was short, it was emotional, and it sort of felt he felt very casual, I found, in it. So that's really good. That's really good. Let's see here. By the way, Roman Reigns, if indeed the wild card rule is still in effect, Roman Reigns is the only wild card to have showed up from SmackDown on Raw on Monday night. So count your blessings. We had a Miz TV segment with Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins essentially made fun of Brock, which kind of made me laugh because it at some point when he was doing Brock Lesnar, I felt like he was doing me doing Brock. I thought that was I sort of saw myself not doing Brock but doing Paul Heyman. So I appreciated that. I thought that was pretty funny. Then we had Rey Mysterio defeating Sami Zayn as well in a match. Again, nothing to write home about here, but a fun little match that everyone was that everyone was basically capable of enjoying. It was far from being a terrible match. Wouldn't you say, chat? Wouldn't you concur? I'm sure you all concur. Then we had here's a part of a rant here. Seth Rollins had a match against AJ Styles, and AJ Styles of course comes out with the club, and they have a promo beforehand where they're basically talking about how they're going to be a dominant faction, right, in WWE, how they're going to be huge, They're going to dominate everything. Their presence is going to be terrifying, basically. So the match goes on, and of course, the club starts getting involved, which brings DX out. The original DX, the duo, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and they come out. And then eventually things lead into each other, and the club eventually wants DX to too sweet them because they all too sweet each other. The club and the DX and the Click, and the NWO, this is all what they do. They too sweet each other. When you do it too much, like I'm doing right now, it starts to look like it's something else, right? It's not quite as cool suddenly. So basically, the club attacked DX because DX attacked the club. The club go out, they get some chairs, and they start surrounding the ring. So then the rest of DX come out with the Click, sans Billy Gunn though, and they come out and basically chase the club away while, basically Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, they're all in the ring. And they all sort of huddle together, and there's a big hug. Now, boom! Here we go. Here's the thing. If the club is supposed to be this dominating faction, that they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be laying down the law and be a fearsome threat for the rest of the roster, you don't have them be chased away by former wrestlers, by old guys. Now, I have nothing against old people. I am slowly entering that category. All right? But the point here is that your legends are not supposed to go over your new talent. They should have taken this opportunity here that they had to put the club over as a true dominant faction, but they didn't. Imagine what would have happened if Styles and the Good Brothers had kicked the shit out of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, or at least beat them down with chairs. Imagine the heat, right? And that's what you want your heels to get, right? Heat. The rest of DX then run down for the save. That's fine. But and then the club screw off. But why didn't they just go for it and let them get the heat? They needed to be put over. I wouldn't say they were buried, but they definitely were not put over. And that's what boggles my mind here. This is what is completely fails to make absolute sense to me. They needed to be put over as badasses. Excuse me. Why didn't they just do the opportunity here? They did it the next night on SmackDown Live, where they let Dolph Ziggler super kick Shawn Michaels. Dolph Ziggler, who doesn't need to be put over like that. But Styles, the club, establishing them as a true faction, a true terrifying hard faction, that's exactly what they needed. But then again, aside from one wrestler, no one went over tonight. It was all about putting the old guard over, which doesn't make sense. What's going to happen in 20 years? What's going to happen in 2039 when they do the Raw reunion? Who's going to be the Raw reunion stars that they're going to trot out for this? Most of the guys that were in the ring here, bless their souls, they're going to be dead. And who else are you going to trot out? I want to thank you, Anonymous, for the tip. Thank you so much. But who are you going to trot out in 30 years, 20 years, if you're not building anyone today? Your old folks, Your old guard is supposed to put the young guard over. Jushin Liger, he's on his farewell tour this year. Sure, he's winning matches, but he's also losing them. He's also putting guys over in the process. He's actually been doing that for the past maybe 3 to 4 years, right at this stage. And that's what they're for. That's how you establish a strong stable. Just look at what happened on NXT UK this week with the Imperium. Spoilers, I apologize for spoilers if you haven't watched NXT UK right now. Plug your ear holes with your finger members. But as it stands, they're doing a fantastic job putting Imperium over as the most dominant stable to have ever walked the earth. They picked apart British Strong Style, and commentary's putting it over as a huge thing, and it is coming across as a huge thing. Walter powerbombed the shit out of Trent Seven on the show yesterday. They powerbombed him so much that the referee stopped the match because Walter wouldn't pin him. He just wanted to hurt him, so the referee stopped the match. Why can't they do this kind of stuff with the club? They had the perfect opportunity to do it, and they wasted it. The problem with the Raw reunion, folks, is that no one, except for one wrestler, no one got over. Yes, it's a celebration of nostalgia and what Raw used to be, but it should be used as a catapult to elevate new talent and make your new stars. But WWE apparently is not in the business of making new stars anymore. So we had we're going to rapid fire the rest of Raw here. We had Bray Wyatt, the only guy who got over. He attacked Mick Foley with the strobe light. Chat, how you doing? I haven't forgotten about you guys, but how about that mandible claw? Was that not the scariest mandible claw you have ever seen? Because of the strobe lights, the darkness, and Bray Wyatt with the mask, just digging his fingers into Mick Foley's mouth, and you couldn't quite see really well what was going on. It was the best, spookiest mandible claw I had ever seen, and that was fantastic. And of course Mick puts talent over because Foley gets it. Jesus Christ. But if it's a testament to at least one thing, it proves to us just how much faith they have in, they being WWE Creative, in Bray Wyatt. That's for sure. We had a moment of bliss where Becky Lynch and Natalya actually had a really good promo exchange between the both of them. We actually had Becky Lynch cutting one of her better promos in a long time. She really felt like the man. She basically, her line where she was saying, this red belt is the scalp of your friend, Natalya. I like the fact that they brought back the idea that Natalya and Ronda Rousey are friends. That I really dug, and that's what she said, right? Something to that effect. That was really, really cool. I really liked that. They had Braun smush a guy, and then they had the toast at the end with some guy named Hogan, Ric Flair, and Steve Austin with a live mic. And I think officially this is the last time they're giving Steve Austin a live microphone. He was great. He was really, really great. I remember the promo that he cut at Raw 25, which was very, very tempered. It didn't feel like him, but on Monday, Austin was on fire. And he started even talking about doing illegal shit in South Africa with Jerry Briscoe. That was amazing stuff. Austin was great, like really, really great. And did you notice they started talking about, we're a family. We're all a family. This is my family. All these people up here. The new kids are these new kids are all my family, and then you, everyone here watching, you're all family. We're all family, so don't watch AEW, is basically what they're saying. So there you go. Don't watch AEW. SmackDown Live. I'm going to run through this one fairly quickly. It was an okay episode. It was an okay episode. Started off with Kevin Owens and Shane having an opening promo with each other that leads to a match at SummerSlam, where if Kevin Owens loses, he'll quit WWE, which I'm okay with as far as this promo goes. Shane and KO have the so what I'm looking for, chemistry to work well together. But what needs to be added here is a stipulation for Shane. It can't just be if Kevin Owens loses, he quits. There has to be a stipulation for Shane. I hope there's something there. Then we got Apollo Crews versus Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. There was a very long, super long, stalling vertical suplex by Crews on Shinsuke, which was cool. I liked the New Day were on commentary for this part of the show, and everyone kept putting over how strong Apollo Crews is. Oh, Apollo Crews, he's so strong, and I like Big E just sort of slid in there and was like, I just want to put out there that I'm stronger than Apollo Crews. This was a fun little TV match. But if you really want to watch Apollo Crews shine, 2 weeks ago, not this week, the week before, Apollo Crews was on NXT fighting Kushida, and that was something special. We had Mustafa Ali cutting a promo where he says he has to rewrite his story and take back control of his destiny, kind of like Keith Lee on NXT. Maybe they should start up a tag team or something. We had a Miz TV segment with Shawn Michaels, who came over putting over the Raw reunion, Seth Rollins, then Dolph Ziggler comes out, and Dolph says it's embarrassing that Shawn shuffles out to the ring. It's as embarrassing as looking at Goldberg wrestle in the ring. Yeah, that's something. He says when he came back to the ring last November, it broke his heart. He being Shawn Michaels. And Shawn says he didn't disagree, and he was crying, right? He had a tear that came out of his eye. I don't know if that was acting or sincere, but yeah. Miz says that he has enough of Dolph talking, and basically this ends up with Dolph super kicking Shawn Michaels, getting some heat off of a legend. I've talked about this. Don't need to go back into it. We had Charlotte Flair versus Ember Moon, which ends quickly. When Bayley comes out, the music distracts Charlotte, and Ember rolls Charlotte up for a win. Why didn't they leave the women wrestle? There was virtually on main roster this week, there was no women's wrestling, which of course generated the hashtag give WWE women a chance. This was ridiculous. And I get the angle. The thing is that I like the angle. And I like how Ember Moon, at the end stood tall. She eclipsed Bayley. She eclipsed Charlotte. And she stood tall. She needed this. She needed that kind of boost. That looks fantastic. But they could have let the women wrestle and actually have like a match and also do the angle. But there was nothing. There was nothing. And this was insulting. Anthony, just before me, on the Smart to Hayes Power Hour, on his stream before mine, talked in length about how this feels like how the whole women's evolution or revolution, whichever way you want to call it, it actually turns into it's turned into garbage. It literally, it seems now that they have no PR use for it anymore. They're just going to let it fall aside, and it's absurd. It's absurd. If you wanted to see the women of the women of WWE have a match, you had to go to NXT TV, NXT UK this week to watch Ginny, Jazzy Gabbert, and Kaylee Ray have a match against Toni Storm, Xia Brookside, and Piper Niven, and they actually had a match. Bianca Belair had a squash match this week on NXT TV. I mean, it was somewhat of a match, but not really a match. So this was absolutely ridiculous and stupid. I don't understand what they're doing. I really don't. And Becky Lynch is still probably their hottest asset right now. And they're not giving the women time. And they're going to end up with the exact same problem. They're not building any women. They're not building any contenders. It's stupid. It's really, really stupid. Next, we had Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton that cut a promo on each other inside the ring. I liked it. I liked it for the simple fact that they did what they had to do here to make this feud interesting. They hearkened back to the real life heat that exists between Kofi and Orton. Everything that they referenced back from 2009 is all stuff that's been documented and true. Randy Orton did use his influence to keep Kofi Kingston out of the world title picture, and it's fantastic stuff. I'm glad that they went down that route. Should be a lot of fun. Then we had Kofi Kingston versus Samoa Joe, and why? Why are we burying Joe a second night in a row for no reason? There's no reason to have this match again against... It's so stupid. I'm telling you guys, I don't understand. This all ended with an exchange of Trouble in Paradise and RKOs between Kofi and Orton. Excuse me. Finn Balor came to the ring to sort of address the Bray Wyatt situation, and we went back to the Firefly Funhouse. Yes, we did. Mercy the Buzzard was there. Rambling Rabbit was there. Bray Wyatt is there, and he's in his, I guess, his alternate costume. I don't know, his alternate setup. And he says, that Mercy, and Rambling Rabbit, we're all fans of you, Finn, but the Fiend is not. The Fiend is an abomination. The Fiend is power, and the Fiend remembers they're having a match at SummerSlam. Now, it's been announced as Finn versus the Fiend right now. It's not the Demon versus the Fiend, but this still has time to change, right? Of course it has time to change. Charlotte is backstage, and she says that being off SummerSlam is a slap to the face, and she demands to be at SummerSlam, and her opponent will be better than Ember Moon. Now, there are rumors going around, and I'm not going to address them here because they could be spoilers, but there are rumors going around that they're bringing in someone from the Legend department to face her. You can go check that stuff out on the internet. Then we get our main event, which is Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. And then Shane stacked the deck against our baby faces with a special guest referee Drew McIntyre, special timekeeper Elias, and special guest ring announcer Shane McMahon. The deck is stacked. But this wasn't much of a match, though. There's some shenanigans. Drew tries to split them apart, but then Roman strikes Drew. The baby faces try to go after Shane, but the trio of heels take down KO and Roman. However, the faces do fight back. Drew eats a spear. Elias eats a stunner. Then Shane eats a Superman punch and a stunner. The crowd chants for one more time. KO delivers in perfect Steve Austin, channeling his inner Steve Austin. Fun little ending, and sort of a look of mutual respect between Roman and KO. But as much as Kevin Owens is a babyface right now, don't trust Kevin Owens, right? This is a fine show. This was fine. So those were the shows. Again, I can't get behind the Raw reunion. It was shit. It was shit. I didn't like it. And SmackDown was just very there as well. I don't know. Maybe your boy Eric next week he's gonna crank it up. We'll see what happens. You know what we didn't see this week? Daniel Bryan. Another week without Daniel Bryan's earth-shattering, career-altering announcement. And there's a lot of speculation going around, isn't there? Out there in the world of online wrestling commentary as to what will be Daniel Bryan's big announcement. I would be the most common. It's not even a rumor. It's more like the most common thought that's being passed around is that Daniel Bryan will be heading to 205 Live to head the division. And people are like, oh, it's a demotion. Well, I don't consider it a demotion. But this all depends. Look, this is something that I've been saying for a while since I cover it every week for Fightful. I know the ins and outs of 205 Live. If WWE is indeed serious about their cruiserweight division, they couldn't do any better than to put Daniel Bryan in there and let it flourish, because then that would instantly attract attention. People would probably tune in to watch it more. And it would show that they do have an interest in having the cruiserweight division develop. Because the cruiserweight stuff is fantastic. We've had 2 extraordinary matches, main event matches in a row. We had Gallagher versus Gable last week. This week we had Drew Gulak versus Isaiah Swerve Scott, which was fantastic. Plus the opening match of 205 Live this week, Lucha House Party versus Humberto Carrillo and Raul Mendoza from NXT. It was great. This week's episode of 205 Live was fantastic. So if they're serious about growing the brand, adding some eyeballs, why not put Daniel Bryan there? They put Enzo there before. Remember that? They put him off. They took him off of main roster and put him there. They did the same thing with Neville. Neville was on main. Neville was on main before they put him on 205 Live. And then for some reason it feels like a demotion. But if they're serious about it and they want to put more eyeballs on the 205 on 205 Live, and they're going, the WWE is heading into a 2-tier system, right? There's going to be a free tier and premium tier. Well, if 205 Live wants to be a part of the premium tier, you have to give them a great reason to watch it. I think, would it be a coincidence that suddenly Daniel Bryan ends up on 205 Live as they're changing tiers? I wouldn't call it a coincidence. I really wouldn't. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all I'm going to say about these subjects right now. Let's talk about the G1, New Japan. How you doing, chat? Gosh, G. Willikers, chat. I haven't been paying much attention to you. I've been ranting a lot tonight. Let's see here. John says that Daniel Bryan will return to Bryan Danielson. Right. There's a couple of people who think he'll end up in 205 Live. CM Phil says he'll at least get to wrestle there, and the matches will be incredible. That's for sure. And Phil also adds that Swerve vs. Gulak was so good, and it was. Robert Larry says, I think that the WWE will merge NXT and 205 Live into one brand. Jamie Tanik says, you did not just compare Daniel Bryan, the best wrestler in the world, to Enzo fucking Amore. Now, hang on a second. I didn't compare them as far as the ring word goes. No. Let's not start putting words in my mouth. But I'm just saying that there is precedent for a main roster star to be moved to 205 Live. That's what I mean. I'm not comparing. And Daniel Price, hello, by the way, says, good luck getting the casuals to like the cruiserweights on that large of a scale. WCW knew how to do it. Vince can't, even with Bischoff. Not a bad argument. The question is who subscribes to the network? Like, I'm pretty sure it's probably not the casuals you're going for. You're probably going for fans. It's a question to get subscribers. I don't know. Look, I don't want to get into it too much right now. I want to talk some New Japan. Because we had 3 more since we last spoke last week. There have been 3 nights of exciting, non-stop G1 action available to you all on New Japan World. And there was a lot of great stuff. Why am I... Okay, there we go. My notes had a little trouble loading here, but we're fine. You know, maybe I should just go back to pen and paper sometimes. Because I'm here and I'm looking at a blank screen. I'm like, come on, just load, you son of a... Let's talk about Night 6, July 19. That was last Friday in Tokyo, Japan. We had Shingo Takaki defeating Taichi. I thought this was a good match. I was a little surprised by this one. You know, Taichi, his gimmick is to not care, right? That's essentially his gimmick. He doesn't care. But when he does decide to care in the ring, man, he can pull off some really great performances. And I think also, depending on who he's wrestling, he gets more motivated. And I think it was good for him to have a good showing against Shingo. And Shingo looked fantastic. I mean, he's been looking great the entire tournament so far. Great fire from both guys. So Shingo won this one. Continues to block up. There's a big traffic jam of points in B block right now. It's interesting. Jeff Cobb defeated Juice Robinson. At this point, I was a little bit surprised. I was not expecting Cobb to win. Juice is on a roll. The B plus player per excellence. He definitely was able to have a great showing, and I honestly thought, I really did believe that that Juice was going to win here, but yeah, this was good. I especially liked the last few minutes of the match, which was really good. Good showing by both guys. Toru Yano defeated Jay White. What is going on? You know that every time Yano has been having a fantastic, well, at least for him, a fantastic G1. I mean, look, and this is the thing with Yano. Listen. Last year, he pins IWGP champion Kenny Omega during the G1. Okay? This year, he pinned Tetsuya Naito, former IWGP champion, and again pins Jay White, another former IWGP champion. When are we giving Toru Yano the Wrestle Kingdom main event that he deserves? This is absurd. Oh, it wasn't the best match. It was fine, but the complete destruction, utter destruction. Jay White is falling apart. I'm here for that story because I hate Jay White, but I in the good kind of hate. I hate Jay White. That was fantastic. Then we had Tetsuya Naito defeating Hiroki Goto in a great match. A great match. These guys worked really well together. And Jon Moxley defeated Tomohiro Ishii in what is unquestionably, at that point in time, it was unquestionably the match of the tournament. It is one of my favorite matches this year. It is easily top 3. This was a fantastic brawl where Tomohiro Ishii flew off a turnbuckle onto Jon Moxley, who was laid out on a table on the floor. That's right, Tomohiro Ishii flew. This was so good. It was fantastic. Such great brawling. If you have the time, you have the capacity to check this match out, folks, you do it. This is Warren telling you, do not sleep on Moxley versus Ishii this year. It's going to be in the discussion for the match of the years at the end of the year. Unquestionably, this one left a legitimate impression on your boy. Next, let's move on. Come on, notes. How's everybody doing in the chat? Let's see. We're talking about Jeff Cobb. Cobb's a tank. That's right. He is a tank. He's a goddamn tank. He's so strong. Daniel Price says Gato's smoking some good stuff. It's been the year of Yano. And to me, there hasn't been anything. There really hasn't been anything better. Daniel, let's see here. And Shane McMahon says Moxley versus Ishii can be found on YouTube. Well, I don't want to necessarily advertise you going out to finding these matches in illicit ways, but you know how you guys can go look for this, right? Night 7, July 20th, the next night, we had Zack Sabre Jr. defeat Bad Luck Fale in a very, 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 very simple match. It was fine for what it was, but I really loved the ending where Zack Sabre Jr. just completely outsmarted. They were brawling up into the stands, and Jr. gets Fale into one of his holds and just holds him there all the way, and then lets go of the hold. The referee's doing the countdown. He's up to 15 because it's 20 counts, right, in New Japan. He's up to 15, and then Jr. just bolts for the ring. He just hightails it, jumps over the guardrail, jumps over people, gets into the ring, gets the count out. Fale can't make it. I love the ending to this match, and it is such in character with Zack Sabre Jr. Dug it. Great stuff. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Lance Archer in a fun match as well. This was good. Another good match. Kenta defeated Evil in a surprisingly hard-hitting match, which I also liked. And one of the top matches of the tournament as well so far, Kota Ibushi defeated Sonata. Man, it was some stellar stuff. It was fantastic action, tons of counters. The counters looked good. Everything just seemed to click here. But man, this was fantastic. This was really, really good. Both of these guys were able to hang with each other. And then the match that everyone is talking about, Kazuchika Okada defeated Will Ospreay. And this is the match that everyone is going on about. A certain person gave it a certain high rating on his star scale. And it is a fantastic match. Will Ospreay is a breakthrough star in 2019. He's just doing it all this year. If he can keep his bloody neck safe, stop taking hits on the goddamn neck, he's going to make it to the end of the year. He's going to make it to Wrestle Kingdom. I love the story of this match where Okada was sort of like, he felt he was a bit, he was above, fighting his Chaos stablemate Ospreay. It was a little under his pay grade, Sort of like he'd shrug him off a couple of times. Had that Rainmaker cockiness, But man, Ospreay just started turning it up. They had some fantastic sequences into each other. Great Spanish fly at the end, towards the end. That Okada kicked out of. Ospreay covered him. Okada kicked out of, and Ospreay immediately when he kicked out, instead of just like panicking, he just ran to the top turnbuckle, and I think he went for a shooting star press. I don't quite remember, but everything felt crucial. Like you could feel that Ospreay felt like he had to win this match. Fantastic stuff. On a personal level, I preferred Moxley versus Ishii, but don't take this as a knock on this match. It was absolutely stellar stuff from two guys who are absolute machines. I mean, we know that Okada is arguably the greatest wrestler in the world. Ospreay is picking it up. And finally, July 24, which was yesterday, Juice Robinson defeated Toru Yano in a fun little match. Juice was wise to Yano's tricks this year. Yano tried to do all sorts of stuff. Didn't work. Juice got the win. Taichi defeated Goto. Goto is in a bad spot now as far as points go. He's really stuck now. His G1 is pretty much over, despite starting really, really strong against Jay White, and that's what's really surprising here. I thought he was going to. I really thought he was going to pull out a much more stellar performance than he did. But I mean, as far as points go, because he's been doing really good. His matches have been fantastic. And this match here, Taichi versus Goto, they had a match. I can't remember when last year was for the Never title, the Never Openweight title, and it was a stinker. This one was a far cry from being that stinker. Moxley and Shingo had a hell of a fight. It was a hot fight. I liked it. Not maybe not as legendary as we would have expected, but this was a very, very strong performance. They told a great story, and it was a lot of fun the entire way. Definitely check it out. Bit of a sloppy match here between Jay White, who finally gets some points by defeating Jeff Cobb. I didn't care for it much. I didn't think it was all that good. But Tetsuya Naito defeating Tomohiro Ishii, though, that was something great. That really, really was something great. So as far as our standings go, here in New Japan World, we have in A block Kenta and Kazuchika Okada, who are both tied at 8 points. No losses so far between both these guys. I'm a bit surprised at how strongly they're pushing Kenta. Then we're a little bit in a anything can happen still situation here. Lance Archer, Evil, Kota Ibushi, and Tanahashi all have 4 points. Fale Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., and Sonata rounded out. They all have 2 points. So there's really a points crunch here in A block. As for B block, you have only one guy who has a perfect record. It's Jon Moxley, followed by Juice Robinson at 6 points. Tomohiro Ishii, Naito, and Shingo Takagi and Yano and Taichi all at 4 points. And rounding up the end is Jeff Cobb, Goto, and Jay White, all with 2 points. Tournament is looking good so far. We've been having some stellar matches, but the G1 always delivers, right? It always gives us something good to sink our teeth in. I really like it. I don't know if you heard today, right? Probably going to wrap up with this really quick, but I just want to touch on the WWE earnings call that happened earlier today, where Vince McMahon and what's his name, George Barrios, right? WWE co-president George Barrios. They had their earnings call today. A couple of interesting things to come out of it, and I'm just going to run them through very, very quickly. Vince had a couple of quotes here that it's the kind of quotes that might come back and bite him in the ass at some point. He took the opportunity today to sort of talk about AEW, but without mentioning AEW by name, right? He said, as far as our competition are concerned, the old adage is that competition is good for everyone. And he says, I think that's generally the case. Although, again, we're hoping that to the extent that they are competition, we're hoping that they don't go on with blood and guts and gory things that they've been doing, which would be bad. He said, I can't speak for TNT, but I can't imagine they'd put up with that. So, he's already putting that down. He's saying, we're going to be a bit edgier, but we're going to remain in the PG environment. We haven't come anywhere close, actually, to going into another level. So that'll be something we do in terms of direction of content. More controversy, better storylines, etc. But at the same time, we're not going back to the Attitude Era. We're not going to go back to the blood and guts and things of that nature, such as being done perhaps by a new potential competitor. I think it's interesting that he's Vince is going in front and constructing a storyline, saying that AEW is blood and guts and gore, talking to the media. Right? We've seen we've seen Dustin Rhodes, basically bleed his life, the life out of his body. And we saw Cody take a massively bloody chair shot, but I mean, it's not as if it's Deathmatch Central here. Sure, they got the deathmatch guys, but I mean, it's, McMahon talks about his recent hires of Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman. He says it allows me to look at a longer range story arc standpoint, and also to spend more time on talent development and not get into the weeds as much as I had to in the past. So, essentially what I'm reading here is Vince saying, yeah, I got these guys in here to come and take care of the details, but don't worry, folks, I'm still involved. I'm still taking over the, I'm still in head of creative, and I'm making sure everything runs my way. Long-term story arcs. Ha! Let's see. Then they started talking about data. Of course, the TV ratings are in decline. There's no big surprises there. Then, as far as finances go, as far as the WWE making money, it was profitable during the quarter that contained WrestleMania, which is Q2, from April 1st to June 30th. But revenue for the quarter was down 5% from Q2 2018 due to declines in most areas of business, including the WWE Network, merch sales, and international ticket sales. So that's something here. Of course, they're making tons of money with their television deals. They also mentioned that the partnership with OSN Sports, which is a sports network in the Middle East, has ended. WWE stated that they have an agreement in principle with the Saudi government for a new media rights deal, but this is what's interesting. It depends on the deal. It depends on improved engagement, right? Whatever that means exactly. It's very, very vague. But the deals are not. So it's a tentative agreement if engagement is improved. Brandon Thurston, who wrote a fantastic analysis on Fightful.com, says that if the deals are not completed as expected, it could affect WWE's aforementioned record revenue and adjusted projections. Excuse me. Then they started talking about the WWE Network, saying that subscribers are down, revenue is down, and they expect even more losses within the next quarter, and this is for the first time in the history of the service. However, they are still going forward with a redesign, which everyone who has seen the beta versions of the redesign of the network are very, very high on. They're really excited about it. Apparently it looks fantastic. Tiered pricing, there's going to be a free and a premium level as well. So we'll be looking at how all of this ties in. But there's definitely big changes coming up for the WWE Network. Paid attendance for WrestleMania 35 was about 63,000, and at most 65,547. And WWE was announcing like 82,000 some paid for the event in New Jersey this year. So whether that includes like comps or if it includes like staff members, I don't know. It's just really weird. But I mean, at the same time, it's not as if WWE is a stranger to fudging attendance numbers, right? The public live gate for the event was 16.9 million. It's the second biggest pro wrestling gate of all time, behind WrestleMania 32 in 2016. It puts the average ticket price for WrestleMania 35 at about $268. So that's expensive. That's a big event. Live events division was profitable thanks largely to WrestleMania, but operating income for WrestleMania is on decline since 2016. It's down to $12.4 million. The decline was largely due to a decline in international ticket sales. WWE's events outside North America generated $9.5 million in revenue, down from $13.5. Also to note that merchandise sales at venues and online is on a decline, decreasing again quarter to quarter. But their merch is shit. I mean, who wants to wear shit merch? Who wants to pay for shit merch? So basically that's it. So live attendance is, like they said, is profitable, but mostly due to WrestleMania, but it's down. It's down and it keeps going down. I just think that that's one part of their business that they can eliminate, that they could just do away with and, use that time, allow their talent to use that time to heal up, keep their bodies in shape so that we don't have to deal with so many injuries. If you don't have to deal with so many injuries, then you don't have to start screwing around with storyline changes and unpredictability on that front. Just one last thing before we go. I didn't talk about AEW much, so I'm going to talk about it, but backhandedly, thanks to CM Punk, who says that he received an offer from AEW. He has a standing offer with AEW. He had an interview. I think it was with ESPN. Punk stated that there's currently no relationship with AEW. He said that he could have had a conversation with Matt Jackson. That he could have a conversation with Matt Jackson that it somehow turned into Tony Khan telling everyone that he has a great relationship with CM Punk. Basically, he says here that he has he has received an offer from AEW, but through text message, and he hasn't accepted it because he doesn't like the way they conduct business. He says, and I'm quoting here, this is what he said from the interview. The last thing I got a text from Cody, and again, I almost don't even know how to reply to them sometimes, because if I reply, they do interviews and they're like, oh yeah, I just talked to Punk. Like, I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. I always think that if someone wants to do business with me, they can come talk to me. Texting offers isn't really a way to do good business, at least. It was texted through 3 people, and an offer came in through text. This is like a month ago, maybe. I think it was just a general offer. I never could have done the last one in Vegas because I was in California. Look, this by the way, I'm reading this from a report over on Fightful.com that was written by a boy, Andrew Thompson. Andrew Thompson over on Fightful. You can go read the rest of the article. CM Punk, man, what a guy. I do agree with him that sending out offers via text message is really weird, and it's not something that should be done. Like, it's not, I don't think it's proper business etiquette. However, I will also argue that he may be working us. This could be all a work, and there is something that is set up with AEW. But if he's not, if he's going around saying, well, Rhodes and the Jacksons, they're sending me texts with offers, and, it kind of feels, it's kind of a dumb way to do business. Well, going on national TV and airing out the fact that that Cody and the Bucks do bad business is bad business too. Like, we're operating on the same level. It's not a good look. I don't know. I'm really done with CM Punk. I've been done with him for a while. There's nothing really to get me excited about him anymore. But you know what also doesn't excite me? Ending the show. And I'm going to bring this stream to an end, folks. I want to thank you all so very, very much for joining me throughout the proceedings this evening. If you didn't already, give the video a thumbs up. That stuff always helps. We had a big chat room here this evening. I was really, really glad to have everyone here. It warms my heart. It really, really does. So next week, by the way, next week, No Particular Angle, hosted by my boy Jonathan Pilquist, JPQ, Big Paws on a Pup, is having me on his show. It's going to be airing next week. We're going to be talking about WWE taking its fans for idiots. It's a fun show. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. That should be airing next week. And of course, I'll be back next Thursday for another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. So guys, once again, and gals, well, hang on a second. Thank you very much for joining. I'll see you next time. Now we go to the credits scene.